Nothing like taking a good bath to clean yourself unless you are John Haigh, where you give out an acid bath to get rid of the evidence. Today, we're going to talk about John Haigh.
Ladies and gentlemen of all ages, boys and girls, thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of Angry Meat Production. We appreciate you coming in and letting us be a part of your lives week in and week out. We hope to do our best to present you with something that your eardrums delight in. Whether you're looking at us on YouTube or Rumble, or listening to us on Spotify, Google, or Anchor, or any of the other podcast services that we are currently on or trying to get on. We thank you. And if you don't mind, at the end of every episode, stop by, leave us a comment, leave us a like. If it asks for 5 stars, we'll take 5 stars, even if you don't like us. 5 stars are what it's all about. With that being said, we hope you enjoy our attempt to make our advocation our vocation. Ladies and gentlemen, let the games begin.
Welcome, Angry Faithful. Today, yes, we're going to talk about John Haigh. He was also known as the acid bath murderer. I was about to say killer. And if you haven't been watching the other shows, should be noticing that I've kind of been messing up on the program. So it's nothing against me. It's just I don't know where my mind's been with the advent of weather changing here in Texas, and my sinus is just messing up really bad. But we're gonna go ahead and get into this. Let's start this out. John Haigh was born in Stamford, Lincolnshire, and was raised in the village of the Outwoods, West Riding of Yorkshire. His parents were engineer John Robert Haigh and wife Emily Haigh, both members of the Plymouth Brethren, a conservative Protestant sect. Haigh later claimed that he suffered from recurring religious nightmares in his childhood. He developed great proficiency at the piano, which he learned at home. He was fond with classical music and often attended concerts. Haigh won a scholarship to Queen Elizabeth Grammar School in Wakefield, then to Wakefield Cathedral, where he became a choir boy. After school, he was apparents to a firm of motor engineers. After a year, he left that job and took a job in insurance and advertising. At age 21, he was dismissed after being suspected of stealing from the cash box. After being fired, he moved on to forging car documents. I wonder how that worked. Well, back then it'd probably be really, really easy. What's really funny about that is nowadays they have it to where most of the stuff is online, and they just steal your mortgage and everything and rack up like massive amounts of debt on your mortgage and everything. It's really weird. Just a bit of advice. Don't go digital. Anyways, on July 6, 1934, Haigh married 23-year-old Beatrice Betty Hammer. The marriage soon disingenuated. Hold on. Stephen Hawking, can you help me out about this?
Disintegrated.
Disintegrated. Apologies. Thank you, Stephen Hawking. The same year, Haigh was jailed for fraud. Betty gave birth while he was in prison, and she placed the baby girl up for adoption and left Haigh. Haigh conservative family obscured him from then onwards. Basically, they didn't want anything to do with Haigh. Haigh moved to London in 1936 and became a chauffeur to William McSwan, with the owner of amusement arcades. He was maintaining McSwan amusement machines. Thereafter, he pretended to be a solicitor when William Costa Adamson was offices in Clarence Lane, London. Guild. He sold the fluent stock shares and promptly from the estate of his deceased clients. I guess that's where the profit from this motive. Basically, fraudulent stock shares. He scammed. His scam was uncovered by someone who noticed he misspelled Guildford as Guildford. He misspelled Guild Ford as Guil Ford. So that's how they got him figured out on that one on his letterhead. Haigh received a 4-year sentence for fraud for that, and Haigh was released just after the start of the Second World War. He continued his fraudulently God, Stephen Hawking,
fraudster.
He continued as a fraudster and was sentenced several further terms of imprisonment. Regarding that, he had left victims alive to accuse him. He had became intrigued by French murderer Georges Alexander Satz, who was disposing his bottles in sulfuric acid. Haigh experimented with field mice and found it took only about 30 minutes for the body to dissolve. The starting of the murders. Haigh was freed from prison in 1943 and became an accountant with an engineering firm. Soon after, by chance, he bumped into a former employee, William McSwan, in a Kinston's pub. McSwan introduced Haigh to his parents, Donald and Amy. McSwan worked for them by collecting rent on their London properties. Haigh became envious of their lifestyle. On September 6, 1944, McSwan disappeared. Haigh later admitted that he lured McSwan into a basement on Gloucester Road, hit him over the head with a lead pipe, and then putting his body in a 40 imperial gallon drum. It's 40 US gallons. 48 US gallons. Drum with the concentrated of sulfuric acid. 2 days later, finding that McSwan's bottle was mostly dissolved, he emptied the drum into a manhole. Sorry, my allergies still. He told McSwan's parents that their son had gone into hiding in Scotland to avoid called up for military service. Haigh then began living in McSwan's house and collecting rent for McSwan's parents. They become curious as to why their son had not returned. As the world came to an end on July 2nd, 1945, he lured them into the Gloucester Road by telling them their son has back from Scotland for a surprise visit. There he killed them with a blow to the head and disposed of them. Haigh then stole McSwan's pension checks and sold his parents' properties for around about 8,000 pounds. Let me see how much pounds that is. Sorry. I'm just curious. 1945 to 2023, which was probably around about $135,000. or a pound. Okay. That's curious. And moved into Onslow Court Hotel in Kingston. Haigh was a gambler, and by 1947, he was running short of money. To resolve his finance troubles, he found another couple to kill and rob. Allerbald Henderson and his wife Rose, after frightening interest in a house that he was what they were selling, he was invested into Henderson's flat by Rose to play the piano for the housewarming party. While at the flat, Haigh, God, Haigh, it is Haigh.
Hey.
Yeah. Haigh stole Archibald Henderson's revolver, planning to use it to the next crime, renting a small workshop in the second Leopold Road, crawling Wells in Crowley, Rossex. He moved acid and drums there from Gloucester Road. He was also known to have stayed at Crawley's hotel, the George, on several occasions. On February 12, 1948, he drove Ackerbone Henderson to his workshop on the pretext of showing him an invention. While they arrived, Haigh shot Henderson in the head with his stolen revolver, and Haigh then lured Rose Henderson to the workshop, claiming that her husband had fallen ill, and he shot her as well. After disposing the Henderson's bodies in oil drums with acid, he forged a letter with the signatures and sold all their possessions for £8,000 again, expecting except for their car and the dog, which he kept. The last victim in capture, Haigh, next and last victim, Oliver Duran Deacon, 69, the wealthy wielder of a solicitor, John Duran Deacon, and fellow residents at the Oslo courthouse. Haigh, by then, had been calling himself an engineer, and Olive mentioned an idea to him that she had for artificial fingernails. He invited her to the Leopold Road workshop on February 18th, 1949, and once inside, he shot her in the back of the neck with a 38 caliber Willoughby revolver that he had stolen for the Hendersons, stripped of her valuables, including the Persian lamb coat. Persian lamb coat. I wonder what that looks like. Oh, it's just a lamb. Okay. Persian lamb. Anyways, put her into the acid bath. 2 days later, Dinkin's friend Constance reported her missing. Detectives soon discovered Hugh's record of theft and fraud and searched the workshop. Police found Haigh's attaché case containing a dry cleaner receipt for Olive Duran Dinkin's coat, and also papers referring to Henderson's and McSwan's. The workshop in Sussex, raided by Haigh's, did not contain a floor drain, unlike the workshop that he had rented from Gloucester Road in London. He therefore disposed of the drains by pouring it in the container into a rubble pile in the back of the property. Investigators in the area, by pathologist Keith Simpson, revealed 28 pounds or 13 kilograms of human body fat, part of a human foot, and human gallstones, and part of dentures, which were later identified as Olive Deacon's dentist during the trial. Haigh asked Detective Inspector Albert Webb during the questioning, "Tell me frankly, what are the chances of anybody being released from Bournemore, a high-security psychological hospital?" And in fact said that he could not discuss this sort of thing. And Haigh replied, "Well, if I was told you the truth, you would not believe me, and it sounds too fascinating to believe." He then confessed that he killed Deacon and the McSwans and the Hendersons, as well as 3 other people, a young man called Max, a girl from Eastbourne, and a woman, Hammersmith. These claims could not be sustained. The trial and execution. Hugh's trial was held in Lowes, Essex. Evidence from the trial is now in the Crime Museum in New Scotland Yard. Haigh pleading insanity, claiming that he had drank the blood of his victims. He had said that he had dreams dominated by blood as a young boy. He had he was involved in a car accident in March 1944. Okay. He dreamed of returning his dreams returning to him. I saw before me a forest of crucifix, which gradually turned into trees. At first, there appeared to be dew or rain, sorry, dripping from the branches. But as I approached, I realized it was blood. A whole forest began to wither, and trees dark and etched into oozing blood. A man went from each tree catching the blood. When the cup was full, he approached me. Drink, he said, but I was unable to move. The Attorney General, Sir Henry Shawcross, CK, later Lord Shawcross, led for the prosecution, urged the jury to reject Hugh's defense of the insanity because he had acted on malignant afterthought. Sir David Maxwell Frey Casey defended, calling many witnesses to test Hughes. Man, I keep on messing up his name. Haig's mental state, including Henry Yellows, who claimed Haigh had a paranoid constitution, adding the absolute callous, cheerful, bold, and mostly friendly indifference of accusing to the crimes which he has freely admitted having committed is unique in my experience. Haigh apparently had believed mistakenly that if the bodies of the victims could not be found, a murder conviction would not be possible. It took only minutes for the jury to find him guilty. God, usually in the United States it takes like hours, but minutes, damn. On August 10th, 1949, Haigh was hanged by execution at Albert Point, which I really, really wanted to get into him. He was the one that killed most of the. He's like a Albert Point was basically the go-to guy in England or UK for executions. He was like a celebrity executioner for that time frame. He actually executed most of the Nazi war criminals during for the World War II war crimes. So he's kind of like he really is a kind of they have a movie and everything about him. But anyways, back into the case. The case was one post of 1945 cases which gained considerable coverage in the newspaper, even though Hugo's Greeks was not Haig's guilt was not questioned. The editor of the day, Mirror, and Silverson Bloom was sentenced 3 months prison terms for contempt of court, describing Haigh as a murderer while the trial was still underway. Oh, damn. Okay. Wow. Someone was actually arrested and sentenced for 3 months in prison because, man, nowadays they don't do that. I mean, they pretty much is like, oh, this is the guy that killed everybody, and they just go ahead and prosecute. And what was it, the tribal society thing nowadays? Well, I guess that is it on this episode. Let me see if I can find anything else on this case. But yes, this is about it. But he basically murdered 6 people for money. So, that is it for today. I guess I'll talk to y'all later. This is a short one again. I'm gonna do a long one next week. But until then, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye.